All right. Welcome, my fellow agents, to Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Today is Shaolin Saturday, and we are indeed going to be talking about a film that at least references Shaolin, Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee's final movie, uh, and his first one that was done with uh, American participation, direct American participation. It was a huge hit, as everyone knows. I mean, was just huge. We all know who's in it. We all know the story. We're going to talk about some of the shots and just reminiscences of seeing it, and sad that Bruce isn't around. Before we get into it though, please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, I do have some thoughts, and we'll go over it. But mostly, I'm going to be very complimentary because it's hard not to. All right. Are you ready? Let's roll. Proving that this is indeed Shaolin Saturday, we're starting at I'm assuming this is supposed to be a Shaolin temple, but it's, got Shaolin in it. It doesn't look like any of the Shaolin stuff I've ever seen in the Shaw Brothers, but it shouldn't. Um, this movie was released in 1973, and 2 years ago I went to see the movie on the big screen down in Denver with a friend of mine, Tara, the Tarakian. August 19th, 1973 was when it was released. It did not run a whole 102 minutes in the United States. They cut out about 5 minutes ish, I think. The part with the young man, or the student, which it doesn't hurt the movie. Doesn't I mean it's good to have the complete one released now. So the budget was $850,000. The box office was 400 million. I'm assuming that's worldwide. It was a big hit, although not as big a hit in Hong Kong as his previous two movies were. So go figure. It's very much a Western flavored movie. I could see why it's not exactly the same as what they'd be used to, even by 1973. Anyway, it's great to see it on the big screen. It had Leonard Maltin doing a introduction to it, and it's astounding. They'd done, I think it was a 4K presentation. It was cleaned up and looked amazing. So I think there were some enhanced sound effects too, but I don't know enough off the top of my head. Unlike Tara, who said she watches it weekly, I do not. This is probably maybe the 10th time I've ever seen it. Might not even be that long. So Bruce is there. He's ready to leave the temple. Doesn't have to fight his way through the alley, but he does have to beat this young man, Sammo Hung. And he'd already made several movies by this time, but he's a good opponent. I mean, people think Sammo is really fat, but look at him here. Now, he was very young there, but they dressed him to make him look that way. So there's our Englisher who's with Bruce's teacher. And he's a British intelligence. There's Sammo doing his own backflips. Bruce had to have Yen Hua do his, which is fine. Makes him tap out. They bow, and they go on. They say, "Okay, go," and you'll be ready for whatever he needs. They tell him that he must have, stop Han because he has betrayed the Shaolin Temple and betrayed their oaths. So off he goes. We have the scene with the student, and he's very much a teacher. He keeps bapping him in the head. Very much a kung fu instructor. He's like, pay attention. Yes, sir. So then we get into the credits. Bruce Lee, John Saxon. It was nice to know that John was studied. What does it say there? Rod Taylor was the first choice, but he was too tall. John Saxon was a black belt in judo and Shotokan karate. And then, of course, you get this Enter the Dragon. I mean, the way this is shot, Robert Klaus did a great job shooting it, and his cinematographer is amazing. Deserves all kinds of Gilbert Hubs because just really great shots. Really well set up, too. Angela Mao Ying was in this. She was Hapkido champion, Yang Zhe, who, of course, is known by his name Bolo for, I would hope that he chose to do that, but the rest of his life. And Jim Kelly, introducing Jim Kelly, who was a last minute choice. Um, he did karate as well, if I'm not mistaken. Where'd that go? Was supposed to be a movie called Blood and Steel, which was just going to be a spy movie as an homage to James Bond. But let's see. Paul Heller, who's who wrote this dang thing? Oh, Michael Allen, and apparently he and Lee did not get along. Anyway, it's fighting sequences obviously staged by Bruce Lee because he'd been choreographing 2 out of the 3 movies that he'd already made himself. Lalo Schifrin, Mission Impossible, and many other things, including Caveman. And directed by Robert Klaus, who used this movie the rest of his life, from the makers of Enter the Dragon. There's Han, who's played by Shi Qian, who would also his voice was dubbed by Key Luke, uncredited of course, but they probably got a fair amount. He actually fought against Wong Fei Hung in many of those movies with the name I'm drawing a blank on now. Several films. Yeah. So many. And Wong Fei Hung. It doesn't give me Jiminy Christmas. Well, I think he was in The Magnificent Butcher. And I'm drawing a blank. Contact King played Wong Fei Hung against a younger 10 years, 20 years ago. So one of the small faults is that it looked good. Well, we'll get to that. Here's his bodyguard, Bob Wall. Apparently, there's rumors that he and Lee didn't like each other, but he's shot that down constantly and consistently, breaking the board or breaking the flaming bricks. And there is Han's Island Fortress. He's running drugs. That's where they found a body of a young woman and gets him hooked on drugs, probably heroin, opium of some kind. I love the 16 millimeter projector there. And he wants to know if he'll drink. There's their contact, Mei Ying or Mei Ling. Oops, I did not get back to the right page. Let's see, Mei Ling. Yes, that's Betty Chung herself. And off they go. Now they're in the harbor of Hong Kong, and with the junks all over the place. So as our heroes get to Hong Kong, they flash back. Actually, this is a story that Bruce's Lee, he's just identified as Lee. And he tells tells Lee the story of how his sister died. There's Bob Wall, of course, as O'Hara, Han's bodyguard. And the fight begins. She gets chased and chased and chased and keeps on, but finally she knows the numbers and what they're going to do to her, so she kills herself. So he tells him to visit his sister's grave and avenge her, and also, sanctify or re-sanctify the Shaolin blood debt against Han. So now there's Roper. It's John Saxon. You know him from so many things. As a good guy and a sadistic bad guy, heroic good guy, sadistic bad guy, he's great. He flashes back. He's a heavy gambler, and he keeps losing, so he has to leave the country. He beats up 3 guys, and off he goes. And now we're introduced to Williams. None of them get first names. And he flashes back to where he's going. He's been invited. Is that Cobra Kai? But he's accosted by two bigoted cops. He beats the crap out of them and steals their car. And then he meets up with Roper, who they met, I believe, in Vietnam. And they reminisce. They ask if anyone. They ask each other if they know who Lee is, and he's just unassuming there. Look at that shot. I just love these shots. And this guy is an alleged Australian challenging or New Zealander challenging Lee to fight, and he says, "Let's go over to that island," and then strands him in a boat, which almost swamps in the movie. And he gives it to kids, and they're all laughing at him. So why are these kids going to this island? Maybe they have an island stopover first. They get there. We are introduced to Yang Zhe as Bolo, who would go by Bolo Yang Zhe or just Bolo in a lot of movies. I think there's even a movie called Bolo. But Blake will have to identify that. This is Han's secretary, Tanya, as Anna Capri. And she kind of runs things, provides women, does things. And Roper's immediately attracted to her. And off they go. And we see these shots here of them walking up. And these guys, they're not even in any stances. There's a nice shot of it, of the fortress. It's a great location. So this movie combines the revenge, or the Shaolin Renegade, who's gone awry, family vengeance, and a tournament. So it's got like all of the tropes that you see in most kung fu movies, and drugs, of course. You see a lot of those. So they're watching all this stuff. They're at the feast begins at 8:00 sharp. So they're wearing these nice silk jackets, and then there's Han making his entrance with 3 women. One of them included is Mei Ling. She makes sure she gives old Bruce the signal in case he didn't recognize her. Look at his headphones. Some things never change, do they? And really, he is the coolest cat here. I mean, Bruce is cool, and Roper is fun. He's not particularly cool, but he thinks he is, in that 70s sort of macho way. Tanya shows up with the girls. Williams takes all of them. Lee says he wants to beat the woman who has this. And then they have their conversation. And of course, when she goes to see Roper, he says, "I want you." And so that works out. Look at that, just sitting there. Look who it is. Dun, dun, dun. And they're ready to go. The tournament's about to begin. I guess all of the tournamental guys are wearing the yellow robe, which is not traditionally Chinese. That's very much a gi from karate. Mei Ling's, living up to her assignment as an agent. Our first fight is Williams against the Aussie guy, New Zealand. That's Peter Archer as Parsons. Williams makes short work of him, wins Roper some money. He gives to Williams. So Roper's up next, and he fakes getting injured, but to make more money, which he does. And then you find out that these two are, having fun. Lee decides he needs to go out for a stroll in the middle of the night. He beats up 3 of the guards. Williams is also out practicing and sees somebody, but doesn't know who. Han is upset because they, find out there's beat up, and he kills them all. Well, he just says, "I don't care who did it right now. My guards have a failure to atone for." And then Yang Zhe, who's preferred, in some documentary I saw, his preferred martial art is Tai Chi, which is considered gentle, but is actually deceptively effective because you think they're moving slow. If you can do something slowly, you can do something quickly. Tai Chi is a lot more difficult than you would think. But look at him. He's got the perfect face for it. He would have been fun in Pee-wee's Big Adventure if they didn't get Francis's butler there. And guess who Lee gets to fight first? O'Hara. I wouldn't want to see Bruce Lee have that face looking at me, ever. It's like Han. I think Han actually knows who Lee is. I don't think that he's I mean, he's got a vast network of spies, obviously, somewhere. They start, and Bruce just beats the crap out of this guy. I don't think he gets one hit in on him. One of the problems I have with this, and I know that in 1973 people wanted to see Bruce Lee kick ass, but for the most of the movie and almost all of the movie, he's a Superman. I mean, nothing hurts him. Nothing. I mean, he just beats up everybody. It's kind of he's going to win, but you got to you're not making. Well, you kind of did. They kind of did in a different way. Han, their ultimate big bad, but unfortunately, uh, it's a minor quibble at best. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this was Bruce Lee's movie, and everyone should have known it. So they're watching him very intently, and he just beats. There's his crossover thrust kick, and apparently he injured Bruce with the bottle. He didn't have a candy glass bottle, so it's a real. And there was some heat there between them, or at least at the time. Accidents happen on movie sets. I mean, especially, they're not trained stuntmen, but I just like that shot where he just crashes down on him. And Han is frustrated by O'Hara because he didn't listen to him. He didn't care. He's like, all right, yep, he's dead. Tanya tells Kip Williams, come visit Han's office when you can. So there he is. He wants Williams to work for him, and he's like, no, you just come. You come right out of a comic book, which is a bit insulting to some comic books and a bit complimentary to others. So I just like the way the mirror here. This is a foreshadowing of mirrors. As you all know, not giving anything away, but so Williams beats up all the goons until he has to fight Han himself. And now we're showing that Han, is a Shaolin man and knows how to fight. He also has a steel left hand. So when he gives you that judo chop, and I know he's Chinese, but they shot the film silently, which was the time of something they did. So all the sound effects, music, and dialogue was ADR, dubbed in afterward. And Bruce was right before he died. He was finishing up the ADR, the additional dialogue recording for this movie. Next is Han goes to approach Roper. He's got a guillotine and he puts the cat in it, which I always forget this is going to happen. And Roper does the humane thing, of course, saves the kitty. And he's like, so there is a line you won't cross. He's like, you have an understanding. So off he goes. These are his daughters. She's getting a tattoo. I don't know if that's a real one or not, but it looks great. She's just there. She flips him. And now there's the drugs. And the poor schlubs that they just get and, to use for, I guess, slave labor, etc., etc. And guess who he's looking at? Williams is dead, and he drops him into this, I guess that's a vat of acid. I don't know what it is, but we don't see Williams anymore. In the first draft, Roper was going to die and Williams was going to live. And Saxon said he would only do it if they changed that. And I think it worked out best because Williams, just as I said, Jim Kelly was the coolest. He was the sharpest dressed, even for the 70s. Looked great, had great lines, good delivery. His kicks, he pulled a lot in the first couple of scenes, but he because I'm sure this was his first movie, so I know he didn't want to hurt his opponents because you don't want your stuntmen, your fellow actors and workers, because that'll get you a reputation and nobody will want to work with you. So you could tell they're pulling it. And of course, John Saxon does too. Bruce, he would only hurt you if it was a complete accident. So Lee goes back out and he finds this cobra. I don't know how real it is, but he bags it and he goes it down and puts it in the control room. They freak out. It can't have been too real, but you never know because he just steps on it to keep her from biting him. I know he's bold and brave, but you don't mess with poisonous snakes. I mean, they can extract the venom, and so even if they bite you, it won't kill you. But why take that chance? It's Hollywood. Yeah, I know Randy Savage let a live cobra bite him, but they had removed the venom. But still, Randy was crazy. So now the fight scene starts in earnest. The fights begin, and he just beats up everyone in front of him, and with different weapons, double sticks and a staff, and then his most famous weapon, that the Japanese weapon he's best known for, the nunchucks or nunchaku, whatever you want to call it. And then he gets captured. He gets sealed in, and Han is incredibly complimentary to him, but he says, "Got to kill you." But he managed to get, you saw the telegraph, get that through to our uh, that's Jeffrey Weeks as Braithwaite, not Mr. Ramsbottom, a British intelligence agent who sent him there because they don't have any jurisdiction really until they can prove that they're making drugs. All right, so now Han wants Roper to fight Lee. He's like, I'm not going to do it. So okay, then you'll fight Bolo. And now while everyone's attention is occupied, Mei Ling leaves quietly. Really sharp looking purple outfits. So this happens. This is a good fight scene because it takes a little suspension of disbelief, but Roper's established as a good fighter. So, and Bolo just looks impressive. Yang Zhe does. He has to bite him. I will break you, Batman. Roper. Yeah, but he doesn't. Mei Ling frees all the prisoners. It's even in this. This is a copy that came from the Internet Archive, which is a beautiful copy. I mean, they do have I think the 4K DVD or Blu-ray's been released, and I might pick that up. But once he defeats Bolo, he tells all of his students. Now, Jackie Chan's in here, Yen Hua, Yen Biao, Chung Fat, Mars, the director, and he's one of Jackie Chan's best friends. Mang Hoi, that's the kid on the ship. So lots of people were in here. So you can look around and find them. This looks to me like that's Jackie, but don't quote me on that. Blake will know. Blake always knows. So right as the fight starts, and Lee and Roper are just beating up these little their jabronis here, the good guys show up dressed in black. There's a reason for that, but there they go, and there's just a melee going on here. Han decides he needs to cut out, but he starts beating up people with he puts the claw on instead of the fake hand. Probably should have left the fake hand on. It would have been more powerful. But there's that look again. But they run away. He runs away. Bruce beats up a few more people. Han now has got his Wolverine claws on. Snicked. But look at it. Takedown. It's a flying scissors takedown. No, a body takedown, not over the head. It wasn't a head scissors. So there's people say that this introduced mixed martial arts to the world. I mean, you can see at the beginning there where he's got the gloves on. He makes Sammo tap out. But, I mean, it was happening. It just got to be obviously a broader audience. Now, see, this is the other thing. Han is obviously older here. Older than Bruce, who is just 30-ish and looks like he's 25, if not younger. But it looks like he's beating up an old man who really doesn't have a chance, no matter how much they make him look good. They make Han look like a good fighter. He's the only one that gets any damage in on Lee. Boot to the head. And there he goes there. He does a flying Lee kick as well. There, iconic pose. Posters everywhere. This movie was ubiquitous. The influence was huge. I mean, it wasn't the first tournament movie. It wasn't the first kung fu movie. It was the first one really done with Western cooperation. And, so everyone spoke English. I'm sure but phonetic English for a lot of them. And there's a lot of Chinese thrown in the background. So there's the mirror. Now we're into the mirror scene, and I still am astounded by the way this is shot. You don't see a camera anywhere. If you do, my eyes haven't seen it yet, and I look for it. When you see it on the big screen and you're looking for it and don't see it, that's even more impressive. I just love it. I mean, and they've done homages to this. I think in Conan the Destroyer, they're in something similar, but it's been a decade and a half since I've seen that movie. But finally, all bad things must come to an end, and he gets impaled on the spear that he threw himself. And now we get the denouement. Here we go. We see them. There's beat up people here. They're looking at the wounded on both sides, She's dead. Tanya's dead. Roper's left like, what was all this for? But if they've stemmed the flow of drugs, that's not a bad thing. And Lee has avenged Shaolin and has brought honor back to his family. And the copters show up, and that is the end. So it's 102 minutes. It feels like about 30. It goes by so fast, and it's so well done. It's so enjoyable. I mean, seeing it on the big screen, it was never one of my favorites until I saw it 2 years on the big screen, especially with Tara. She was just the best person to see that movie with. I'm so happy she was able to come out here. I couldn't think of a better person. Someone who's as knowledgeable about even more than I am about Bruce Lee. So, Tara, this is for you. Tomorrow, yeah, I know, Sven is airing The Valley of Gwangi. I've already reviewed it, so we are going to look at Gamera versus Zigra. Finally going to finish up the original Gamera series. There are good things about it. At least I can say that. All right, my fellow agents. If you stick with me tomorrow, thank you. Bless you. And until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
Zigra, a creature from outer space, plans to take over the Earth.
All you Earth creatures, you must surrender at once.
Modern weapons are useless against his powers. The fate of mankind hangs in the balance. Gamera versus Zigra.
All you Earth creatures, you must surrender at once.
Zigra plans to enslave the Earth in Gamera versus Zigra.